Hi everybody. Just a minute. Since I have added automation to my Grace Qnique 16, I don't have to do any work at all. I mean, I have to work really hard, really hard. I have to press the button to sew. It can be very time consuming. And I have to press the button to stop. So I've decided I need a place on this level where I can sit down and relax while my machine does all the work. I mean, I can be close to my machine to monitor my machine. So I thought to myself, what would be the most practical piece of furniture that I could use up here? And then it dawned on me. A flexi spot height adjustable desk. It just so happens they sent me a height adjustable desk with the little power button that makes it go up and down. So while I'm up here slaving away at my long arm, I can have a desk that I can use for cutting or I can use to sew on. So let's go get this thing set up and have a little fun. Wow. So here is my new desk just outside of my room. This is a bamboo top and I can charge my phone on the wireless spot. So here is how you raise it and lower it, and it tells you the exact height.
It has a seat mode and a standing mode.
Ha! That's it. Aren't you smart? Happy Flexi Spot Black Friday. If you're having trouble coming up with a good gift for somebody, this desk would be an excellent gift. I don't know about you, but I have some people on my list that are very hard to buy for. This would be a great gift. Flexi Spot is having a Black Friday sale. So I'm going to put links in my description below so that you can go get some great deals. And Black Friday is happening now. Use my code in the description below to get more off on your E7 Pro, E7 Plus, or E7L standing desk. Flexi Spot is a great idea for gift giving this Christmas. Maybe you just want to give yourself a gift. You're worth it. You should do that. So now let me get back to finishing up my quilt so I can show you the quilting. So we had to, so the cable for the plug-in was over on this opposite side. So I was just gonna let the cable go across and plug it in. That's why we both had to get on the floor. There's cable management underneath. There's a tray. So we had to loosen the tray, put the cable in so that it was nice and neat. Let's go back into the room where my Grace sits and let me show you some features of the automation that have me very excited. It's so intuitive, and I just want you to see, if you have a Longarm, what the possibilities are if you add automation to your machine. And even if you don't have a machine, you may have always wondered what your quilter does. So this little segment will give you an idea of what happens behind the scenes with your quilt being quilted. So I've selected my design, and it's pumpkins. So this is the help, and it pops up because I have it set up to do that. So I'm just going to close that because I know what I want to do. I made this thinking I made it 8 inches. And this is just a practice. So I started out with 5 inches, and that was really small. Now, it looks good, but I don't need a small design on this quilt. This quilt has really big blocks, so I want a big design. And I believe if I did a 10-inch design, it would fill my whole space. Now, my space does get smaller as I quilt because I'm rolling up my quilt on the back bar. So I'll have to measure and see exactly how much space I have with the quilt rolled all the way up. This isn't a big quilt, but then that way I know that I don't want to go any higher than a certain number. So I have chosen 8, and I'm going to click next. Now I have to determine the spacing between the rows of pumpkins. I leave it at 0 because I like my pumpkins like close together. I could make it bigger, and if you see, the picture is showing that the rows are getting further apart, but I don't want them to be that far apart. And it probably just depends on your design as to what you would put here. Here it shows you, here's the top, because the white is your quilt. Here is where you're in the middle of your quilt, so you'll use this middle button most of all. And then here's where you're at the end of your quilt. So I'm going to click this one. Now what I need to tell it, so here it shows where it's going to place the pantograph. Now I need to show the left mark and the right mark that the machine marked at the end of the last row. So that tells it where the last row ended, and then it figures from there how much space I have in between the last mark and this new pantograph being in here. And I believe it will cut off the design at the end and the sides once I do this. So if you look right here, and again, Grace thinks of everything, they included these little stickers in the packaging for the software. So after you finish a row, it will have you place a sticker on the right hand side and do a single needle stitch. And then it has you do the same thing on the left hand side. And then this is where I'm going to show the machine that that mark is for this row. It's all very intuitive. I have watched one video, one 2-minute video on how to restart because my bobbin thread ran out. Okay, so I'm going to mark that. And then I'm going to go to the other side. So here it's green and green. That's where the marks were that it told me to mark at the end. So now I'm going to go next. So here it's showing that it's cut off that pantograph, so it shouldn't go over the edge of my quilt, crooked and all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my carriage over here because I know by looking at the screen that this will actually probably start like off the edge here. I get it as close as I can to where I think it's going to start. I don't think that I have to do that, but that way I can hold the thread. And here I'll click starting stitch, and it will move to exactly where it's going to start. And it will make a single stitch. Now the reason it does this is because I want my bobbin thread on the top. So it will release the carriage so that I can pull up my bobbin thread. There's my bobbin thread, here's my thread. I'm going to put it back. It will adjust it to be wherever it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to click next. And as far as I'm concerned, all my settings are good. So I'm going to click sew. There we go. Put this here. And it does a stay stitch. Now, normally I would walk away, and it tells me how far along it is. So right now it's 2% complete. And after the first row, I should have an idea of how long it's going to take the machine. So I could set an alarm and say, come back, you know, a minute before it gets to the end, because I have had it eat some of my fabric on the side because I was not here watching. But on the top row and the bottom row, I need to be here because there is a possibility that this is not perfectly calculated, and I want to make sure that there are no issues with the bottom. So I will let it sew, and I'll come back when it's done and we can take it off the machine and see what it looks like. Is my first quilt officially quilted with my automation. Isn't that cool? I'm so excited. I just can't explain. And here's the back. Now, it took me a little bit to get used to it. So here, my tension was horrible. But I was afraid to stop it. I didn't know if I could restart, but as I got more familiar, you can see the rows below that. I stopped the machine, took the bobbin out, I got a new bobbin, I rethreaded, and everything looks great. I also started out with the rows at 5 inches. Well, I did a couple that way. I did quite a few that way, actually, if you can see. But then I decided, you know what? I don't need them that small. I would like for one pass of the machine to take up that whole, and I'm at 16-inch area. So eventually I figured out that the bigger looked really good. So if you can see, I'm doing it sideways now. So here's the bigger design, and then here is the smaller design. Now I can make it smaller if I think that it needs to be for the quilt, but for this particular quilt, I think it looks really good with the big pumpkins. So excited, you just don't even know. So I've officially taken over, not the whole level, a half a level. There are beds in each room so we can have multiple guests, and you know, as long as they don't touch my stuff, we'll be good. I have a couple of announcements. We have a quilt retreat with the 3 quilting amigas, and that is Di from Sister Chicks, Tracy from the Sewing Channel, and me. We are going to be in Hamilton, Missouri. I cannot wait. I am so looking forward to getting to meet some of you and quilt together. So if you are remotely interested, look in the description below and click on the link 3quiltamigas.com and look and see if maybe you can come with us. It is next year at the end of April, beginning of May. I am also going to Ireland next year. This is a trip of a lifetime. I am so looking forward to it, and I would like to share this opportunity with you all. So if there's anyone who is available in September and has always wanted to go to Ireland, we can, you know, hang out together and see the beautiful sights of that country. Again, description is in the link below. I am very thankful for you all. Thank you for watching my channel. As they say on the plane before we debark, you have all kinds of options on YouTube. I know that you do, and I really very much appreciate the fact that you choose to take your time, which is very valuable, to watch my channel. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everybody. Until next time, bye.